Begin this morning with two short readings. The first is from Johann van Gutta, and I'm sure I've got the pronunciation wrong, correct? Let me know it after the service. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment that one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. Whatever you do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. And the second reading is from Benjamin Mays, former president of Morehouse College and one of Dr. King's closest mentors. The tragedy of life does not lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goal to reach. It isn't a calamity to die with dreams unfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. It is not a disgrace not to reach for the stars, but it is a disgrace to not have stars to reach for. Not failure, but low aim is a sin. What a joy, a deep, true joy it is to be with you this morning. I want to thank you, Mary Catherine, for inviting me to be with you. I want to thank her wonderful family, Caleb and John, for their hospitality this weekend. I want to thank Mark and the amazing musicians who have been making beautiful and joyful noise for us this morning. I want to thank Dave and Nancy and their team of volunteers for their time and energy and all they've done to prepare for this day and for this campaign. I'd go through all the names, but please, if you haven't already, check that back of your order of service and say a thank you or two after the service or this week. And thank you, perhaps most of all, for all of you, for not only supporting and caring for my colleagues, Mary Catherine Morn, Laura, Karen, and Sarah in their ministries, but for envisioning, for creating, for sustaining a congregation, a community of abundance like this, that not only is an important and inspirational congregation for Fairfax County in Northern Virginia, but for the entire Unitarian Universalist Association. You may or may not know that last year, this congregation was in the top 10 Unitarian Universalist congregations in the world for the number of people who gather each weekend. Top 10 in the world. So I guess it's even obvious why the energy and excitement is so high when you're all together at the same time today. But you see, I know that the energy and the commitment and the excitement you have to be bold and generous has been around here for a while. 4 years ago this month, me and 4 of my colleagues came to visit Mary Catherine in this congregation to assess, support, and advise Mary Catherine in her ministry. You can either credit or blame me for being one of the first and loudest voices that weekend telling her, you have to ASAP add a service. Yeah. I have had the great joy of Mary Catherine's friendship and wisdom for more than 10 years, 15, 16, I don't know about that. I have watched her fall in love with this congregation, and I have watched you connect, grow, and serve together. Her enthusiasm and excitement about you and about what you are doing is off the charts, as it is for every lay leader and staff member I've spoken to the last few weeks. I'm guessing it is for you too. I know how blessed and grateful Mary Catherine feels to serve and lead you. And I trust you feel just as blessed and grateful to have Mary Catherine, all your ministers and staff leading you. Y'all are awesome. What can I say? See, as the executive director of the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association, I'm lucky enough to get to travel all around the country and once in a while even the world, meeting with seminarians, ministers, and congregations, learning and teaching how we can nurture excellence in ministry and grow this faith. I have the great privilege of serving and leading over 1,700 UUMA members whose missions in life are dedicated to making a difference, to being agents of transformation in their communities and in their world. In other words, just like you. One of the main reasons I'm so grateful to be here this morning on this very special day is because I want to be with people whose mission it is to transform ourselves, our community, and the world through acts of love and justice. People who yearn to connect, grow, and serve. Who would not want to be with such people? Especially on the day when you are celebrating and affirming your commitment to this mission, to this congregation, this vision, by imagining how you can more boldly and more generously reach out than ever before. I hear the theme of this month is commitment. The words I read earlier are some of my most favorite. And I think they're perfect on this day when you are beginning the campaign to reach out, to welcome and touch more people with the magic and love that is UUCF. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Whatever you do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Boldness has genius, power, and magic. It does indeed. I have felt that power, that magic, every time I visited this congregation, and I've especially felt it the last few weeks as I've talked to your ministers and leaders. I asked all of them to tell me what they were excited about in this congregation, and specifically why they have committed so much of themselves to leading and contributing to the REACH campaign. They told me about the boldness of your vision, to take better care of people here today and to reach out and connect with people, more of them tomorrow. They spoke of their excitement at having a parking lot. And I got to tell you, Mary Catherine can vouch for this. When I first heard about the parking lot, I thought, I'm going to get up and talk about a parking lot and encourage you to give money to it, right? I testify as somebody who's been converted. Because the way these folks talked about this parking lot, this parking lot that's going to be safe and green and welcoming, they sold me. They told me about having a campus that will be even more of a place where people from this congregation and the community can connect and serve and grow together. They spoke of their dreams of using new technologies so that people who are here and people who are not here, but who yearn for a place to grow, connect, and serve, can be reached and can be touched by the love and power of this congregation and this faith. They did talk about money, of what could be possible for you if you were not carrying so much debt, of the people and programs you could nurture, and the power and responsibility of giving 10% of your pledges away to support the work of the people in this community who are transforming lives through acts of justice and love. And they talked about gratitude, their deep gratitude about how this congregation amazes them with your generosity of spirit, your large and small acts of love, of sharing time, talent, and treasure to reach and touch so many. The Quaker author Parker Palmer writes, "Authentic abundance does not lie in accrued stockpiles of food or cash or influence or affection, but belonging to a community where we can give those goods to others who need them and receive them when we are in need. Community not only creates abundance, community is abundance." Congratulations for creating that type of community, that type of congregation. For a long time, I've been going around the country, sometimes even across the country, across the pond, as they say, preaching and teaching about abundance and generosity. Partly, I suspect, because many people, both ministers and lay leaders, are really often shy about talking about money, generosity, and the spiritual life. Not me. I know of few, if any, practices that provide more joy and peace in our lives than giving our money and our time away to something larger than ourselves. I know because, you see, I once was someone who did not do either of those very well. And then I found a religious community whose love and commitment taught me how to break free of my fears and insecurities, and my wife and I together became tithers, someone who gives 10% of their annual income away. We have been tithing over 20 years, and it has been the most transformative spiritual practice and lesson in faith we have ever experienced. I'm sure some of you know the feeling. You see, grateful and generous giving, the type that this Reach campaign's asking of you, is not only good for the congregation and the community, of course, but it is even better for our own spirits and souls. In a time when the politicians are arguing about how much is enough, when men and women throughout the country are struggling in your own neighborhoods, maybe your own family, this congregation, this community of abundance is saying to everybody, we are going to raise millions of dollars so we can welcome and care for more people, so we can reach out to more people who share our life's journey, so we can celebrate and act upon our principles to make a better world. This is a bold and radical statement of abundance to a world that is sorely in need of bold and radical statements of abundance. Far too many folks are struggling to find stars to reach for dreams to achieve, but not you. Your commitment is inspiring, as is the history and the legacy you have built. The theme of this campaign, as you've heard, is reach. This is our moment. This is your moment to make a deeper commitment to this congregation and to your personal commitment to grow, connect, and serve, to transform your own life while you transform your community and the world. It is your moment to look to the future, to continue to build and strengthen this congregation for your children and the children of the world, young and old, who are suffering the despair and loneliness of disconnection. This is also a moment to look back with gratitude to those whose dreams and commitment built the foundations that are this congregation, who lit the fires and planted the trees that warm and shelter our hearts and spirits, whose memory, generosity, and boldness we honor and celebrate with our own generosity and boldness. I imagine Annabelle, her husband Bill, and the other 26 men and women who signed your first membership book in April 1955. I spoke a little bit to Annabelle before the service, I wonder if they dreamed of a day like today. A time, of course, somebody says, a time when so many people would be committed to the values and aspirations they held so dear. I think of the people who raised the money to buy your property in 1960, and I imagine them sitting out here smiling and breaking out their checkbooks to ensure that your campus is around 50 more years. And then I see them dancing and celebrating with y'all when you burn that mortgage. I think of the people in the picture Mary Catherine talked about in October. The people sitting around a record player listening to Dr. A. Powell Davies preached about the gospel of the Unitarian advance in the early 1950s. I wonder what the picture will look like in 5, 10, or 20 years when people are sitting around computers and smartphones, in coffee shops and in prisons, in shelters, on campuses, in Fairfax and in Frankfurt, Germany and Kentucky. People being reached, touched, and transformed by a sermon, a piece of music, and an act of kindness, love, or justice connected to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Fairfax. My friends, you have been fortunate to learn and experience what so many of us yearn for. I cannot imagine many things better in life than the invitation to support this community, this congregation of love and justice, transformation and service. I cannot imagine anything greater than being invited to make a pledge, a gift to its future, to its growth, to your future, your growth. Now, when those folks call you on the phone, I want you to answer on the first ring. Okay? I expect that first email to go out right away because you are so eager and so excited to have a chance to talk to someone and share how much this place means to you and how much you want it to mean to people who don't even know about you yet. No matter how large or small your gift is, I want you to make sure it is worthy of your commitment, your desire, your deepest hope and dreams that you have for this congregation, for this community, for yourself. What a joyous day it is. A day when we get to celebrate the abundance of community. A day when we reach for the stars. A day when we give thanks to those dreamers who came before us, who saw stars that few saw, who could see and build a place that has transformed and even saved so many lives. A day when we get to do our part to dream new dreams, touch more lives, and grow in our commitment, our generosity, and our abundance. Reach as deep inside and as far as you can dream. The moment is now. I leave you this morning with the words from one of the most generous and loving ministers I know, a minister whose ability to reach and touch so many is beyond belief. Her name is the Reverend Mary Catherine Morin. Now it is our turn to reach out, to imagine a bold and transformative future for our faith and our congregation. I hope you see the best we have to offer to each other and the world. I hope you will join me in committing to give as generously as possible to realizing this future. My wife Kathleen and I have decided we will. I hope you will too. And when you do, think of those who will be worshiping here in 5 years, having coffee and connecting around the world in 10 years, teaching and growing in classrooms in 25 years, serving and loving in the midst of all the joys and sorrows of life in 50 years. As we give, let us silently give thanks for the wisdom and the vision of those who planted the trees and dug the wells that shelter and feed us so well. May we be as abundant in our loving and giving as well. May it be so.